All right, greetings everybody, and welcome to week number three. That is right, week number three of your 7314 class, which is your reference class. As always, I'm your professor, Dr. Jace K. Austin, and what we're going to do this week is we're going to do a quick state of the course update. After we do the state of the course update, I'm going to talk a little bit about the assignment, the virtual reference practice paper assignment that y'all have coming up this weekend. And then once we get through that, then I am going to tell you about a database, Gale Legal Forms. This one should hopefully be around 30 to 35 minutes unsped, so that'll be about 25 minutes sped up. So this one shouldn't take too long, and I'm sorry about the delay in getting these up. I try to have them up by Wednesday morning. As you can see in the bottom right-hand corner there, I am recording this Wednesday afternoon. I'm just, it's just another one of those days. I don't know why, but I keep just having days where I'm just not feeling that great. And this was certainly one of those times. So I've got a little bit of energy about me now, and I'm going to go ahead and try to get done what I am hired and employed to do, which is teach y'all a few things. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get into that. Sorry, there was a little freeze on my computer there, so hopefully that didn't come out on your end. But yeah, let's go ahead and get the state of the course update rolling. Pause. So let's start with this here. I do want to, again, commend y'all on the info seeking discussion. Usually I kind of go through those really quick because honestly, yeah, what happens is the students just start copying each other basically. Like they'll come up with some search that they did, but then they'll say, oh, well, my classmates have applied this, and so I'm going to apply it as well, and I'm just going to tailor my search. Tailor my information seeking thing that I did um to one of the information seeking behaviors that everybody else is talking about. That's typically how it goes. I'm glad it didn't go that way with y'all. It shows that y'all are reading the material. I appreciate that. Also, we had very good submissions for the if I go back in here. Very good submissions for the unassignment. Almost everybody got a 100, or 100%. If you didn't, don't feel bad. That's okay. But I will say that now that they have all been submitted, what you need to go on ahead and do now is go ahead and make some time at some point before the semester is over or before the summer is over to review the work that your classmates did, because this again is peer-to-peer learning. That's why it's a discussion board prompt. And what I want y'all to do from here is learn about the databases very quickly by going to the work that your classmates did, reviewing the work that your classmates did, and then saying, oh, okay, this is so this is what this database does. If I've got this type of question, that database would be what handles that and that sort of thing. So, yes, excellent job with that work, y'all. And yeah, I'm just very pleased with how y'all have gone about your work this semester. Now, when it comes to what is on the horizon, what is due this coming weekend, let me pause so I can click out of some of the old stuff. Okay, so what's going to be due on this coming weekend is going to be discussion board prompts 4 and 5. They line up with readings that y'all have had this week, and then also your virtual reference practice paper. So we're going to talk a little bit about the virtual reference practice paper, just a little bit, because I don't think that needs too much more explaining. But if you have any questions about it, go ahead and reach out to me. You can do so via Canvas message or via email, and I will, or you can put something in the discussion board for questions, and I will see that and respond to it as well. But I'm honestly not anticipating, based on what I've seen out of y'all so far, I'm honestly not anticipating a lot of bad submissions. It looks like I've got a good group of students here, and so I am confident that y'all are going to go into this weekend writing your papers, and you're going to do a swell job. And if you have any questions, you're going to reach out to me like you're supposed to. I have no doubts that y'all are not in over your heads here. So I like what I'm seeing, and yeah, just keep that up. But yeah, make sure that you have 3 deliverables this weekend, so make sure you get those through. And yeah, we are moving right along. We are actually almost halfway done with the course already. So, it doesn't take long in the summer. And pretty soon y'all are going to be commending yourselves for, yes, it's been a lot of work and a little bit of time, but now you've got a required class off of your, off your back, and you can go and enjoy some other things. So, yeah, keep up the good work. Very pleased with y'all. All right, so let's talk about your upcoming paper that's going to be due this weekend. First of all, yes, you should have reached out to your partner by now for sure. Um, if there have been any issues with your partner, let me know. But it sounds like pretty much everybody is getting through without any real difficulties with their partners and that sort of thing. So that in and of itself is very encouraging. Um, Please, for one thing, note that yes, I will be, I talked about the 2 common APA mistakes in last week's check-in video. I will be making sure for this assignment and for the Wikipedia edit assignment, I will be checking to make sure that your APA is done correctly. So please do that correctly. Um, so again, you and your partner are going to take turns being the librarian and then being the person seeking library reference services. I do want y'all to have you should use 2 methods of tools for your virtual reference communication. One needs to be live in person. Well, not in person, sorry, live in synchronous. That's what I meant to say, synchronous. So Zoom, and then the other can be something like chat or, hold on one moment, please. Telemarketers are absolutely awful. Sorry about that. So, yes, so you should have a synchronous form of communication, which is Zoom, and then also you can use a chat or email service to do your async or sort of async. If you're doing Google Chat or Facebook Chat or something like that, that's actually kind of like chat can be synchronous or asynchronous, but email certainly is asynchronous. And a lot of students go by email, but it's whatever you prefer. So the paper should be roughly about 4 to 5 pages total, and there should be a report component. The report just basically is kind of just telling me, and please turn it in as a single file, by the way. But the report is basically going to tell me exactly what happened. You do not have to record and submit the recording of your Zoom session. If you want to do that, that's fine, but you don't necessarily have to do that. Some people record it and then put it on Google Drive, but if you just want to summarize it in the report, that's fine, and that's what most people do. And so do the report, which is basically objective, and then do the reflection, which should cover, any sort of growth, frustrations, whatever you feel about it. Please just be honest with your feelings, and it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to, because actually it can be good for you to experience when you get on the reference desk, you're going to get questions that you had not expected, and it can be very frustrating. How do I answer this question that I didn't even know what was coming, was coming at me? This just came out of nowhere. I don't know how to answer it, blah, blah, blah. It can be very, very frustrating to just get asked a question you don't know the answer to. So, that's something that we're replicating in this assignment as well. So if you felt frustration because you weren't expecting this question, and this question pops up, and then you're like, oh my God, how do I don't know where to begin searching. And, that frustration kicks in. That's exactly what I want to capture, because the thing is, what I want you to do is, if you feel that frustration, trust me, that frustration is going to be like a million times worse when you're actually on the reference desk. And so one of the things that can be beneficial to you is saying, you know what, now I know what it's like to be unprepared. I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure I'm not unprepared for that particular question again, in case that's a question that you think you might get again. So you will look at the databases to see which one will get you that right answer, how to operate the database so that you get the right answer. Having the ready reference handy in case it's a ready reference issue, whatever the case may be. This experience is designed to help you get a feel for what it's going to be like to just get a random reference question, and also to learn what emotions can come with that and how to cope with those emotions. So that's what I want you to do, and I think you'll be better librarians for it. So that's why I do assign this. Again, please do not do Q&A. It's lazy. I've mentioned that before. So yeah, make sure that you write in essay form, and that you show me that you can segue into different points and everything like that. And we do have a rubric here, so please pay attention to the rubric. So the rubric criteria, we'll go through those really quickly right now. The report demonstrates that, that questions were answered in a manner that would be expected and acceptable of an actual virtual reference transaction. Answers were clear, demonstrated effort in finding the answer, and were appropriate to the user. You can get a total of 1 point maximum for that. You can also get 1 point maximum for the report includes additional chat platform. This says other than QP, which is question point, but we don't even use that anymore. So basically, if you use Zoom and then one other form of platform, so it can be again Facebook chat, it can be Google chat, it can be whatever the case may be, whatever it can be email. That's totally fine. But as long as you're using Zoom and one other thing, you'll get the point there. The report demonstrates thorough use of reference interview techniques. That's up to 3 points. The reflective essay demonstrates a clear focus and addresses the themes associated with the essay prompts, such as competencies, challenges, value of service, and differences from face-to-face reference. If you can master those things, you can get up to 3 points for that. The reflection essay demonstrates substantial original thought and provides an apparent indication of reflective contemplation, about the virtual reference experience. That can be worth up to 3 points. And then the reflective essay is coherent and well structured without excessive grammatical errors. And also included in this is proper use of APA. So if you get all those things done, then you can get the 2 points there for if you meet or exceed my expectations there, then basically do your best. If you do your best, you're probably going to exceed my expectations because I've already seen the quality of work that y'all appear to be able to do. So yeah, go ahead and blow my socks off. And if you blow my socks off, you will get a perfect grade there. And I believe that all of you are capable of that. But again, know that you will lose points for improper APA, and I will be looking out for that. Okay. Some other questions that may come up. This can be based on any library that you may be familiar with or work at or whatever. It does not have to be based on Ellis Library materials, and you don't have to answer the question using Ellis Library's catalog or materials. Answer the question the best way to answer it. And so that might not even need actual library resources. So like, for instance, if in the public library, a lot of people ask about bus schedules, and that sort of thing. And you really won't need the actual library resources to answer bus schedule questions. What you can do is just go to the bus schedule website, for instance, and pull the bus schedule and that sort of thing. So if you are a public librarian, you actually will be using things like Google a lot, because a lot of the questions that come into the public library are things that can be answered by Google. And there is no shame in that whatsoever. So going to, finding the website for the bus routes, or finding the phone number for Uber or whatever the case may be, do your thing, do whatever needs to be done. And you're not wedded to using a library database for this. You're not wedded to using a library book for this. Just answer the question the best way you can. All right. Please do not give people the questions ahead of time. That defeats the point of the project. Most of the time, I don't think that's happened, but I did have somebody admit in the fall 2025 class, they were like, oh yeah, we gave each other the questions ahead of time to make things easier for each other. And I'm like, no, that defeats the point, because the point is to, the point is to simulate an actual reference interaction, and your patrons are not going to do that. I'm sorry if you're expecting them to, but they're not. Your patrons are not going to come up to the reference desk and say, hey, I'm going to give you this question ahead of time, and then I'll come back tomorrow for the answer. They're going to come to the reference desk and they're going to want an answer. They're going to want to answer then. They're going to want to see you work through it then, and they're not going to give you time to contemplate the question ahead of time before they actually come for the answer. So if you give your classmates, your partner, the question ahead of time, again, you defeated the point of the assignment. Now they can't actually experience the discomfort or the surprise or whatever that they should be experiencing at the reference desk and will be experiencing at the reference desk. This again is to prepare y'all for what you're actually going to be walking into out there. I think I've said this already, but if I haven't, let me just say it again. Yes, you do not need to, yeah, I did say it. You do not need to include the recording in submissions. Again, you can if you want, but really in the report, just summarizing the Zoom recording and what went, or the Zoom session, summarizing what happened on that is okay. And when it comes to the emails, yes, I want the emails or the chat transcript. I would prefer to have that if you can give that to me. But as far as recording video of the Zoom session, don't worry about that. No. Please write in first person when appropriate. I don't want to be reading a bunch of the student this, the student that when you're referring to yourself. Yeah, it's much easier to get through these when you can say, I did this, I did that, I felt this, I felt that. Please, again, turn the things in as a single file. You can, so I don't want a reflection paper and a report paper. Give me, that are like separate files. Please give me them in the same file. You can use page breaks and headings to separate the two. That's perfectly fine. You do need to have references. There is not a set number of references, by the way. So the way I look at it, you know, now that you're in grad school, it shouldn't be about, now I realize that not every teacher feels this way, but this is how I feel, and I'm the teacher here, so what I say goes. But I do not feel that you should have to meet a minimum source requirement. You do need to cite sources because we are in grad school, and so you need to be building off of other people's ideas, other people's research, other people's theories, etc., etc. That's what scholarship looks like. But when it comes to actually having, oh, you need 5 sources, oh, you need 10 sources at least, no, I'm not going to do that. If you can make this with 1 or 2 sources, and a lot of people do. A lot of people just cite their textbook and then something else, and that's perfectly fine. If you can make your arguments citing just 1 or 2 sources, that is absolutely okay. Why would I hold that against you? I am absolutely not. If 2 sources gets the job done, then that's what it is. But if you need 20 sources, also do that. You know, just do whatever you need to do. And if there are any other questions, please, again, just reach out to me. I love hearing from y'all. I like y'all. I really do. So I like hearing from y'all, and I would love to, you know, answer any other questions that y'all have. Don't feel that you're bothering me or anything. You know, yeah, y'all hold a place in my life for better or worse, and thank you for that. So, yeah. And I think that's pretty much all we need to talk about when it comes to this. Again, just pay attention to the prompt, pay attention to the rubric. If you have questions, let me know. And I think y'all are going to be just fine. I think y'all are going to be just fine. All right, let's go ahead and look at this database real quick, and then I'll close this out. So yeah, we should be done in about, with a 30-minute video, maybe 31 or 32. Pause. All right, so in our last part of this video, we're going to go ahead and go to the Gale Legal Forms database. I'm just going to show y'all what that is, how that works, and this isn't going to be an actual tutorial. So when I show you all databases, you're not getting an actual tutorial. I'm not showing you in depth how things work. What I'm doing is giving you an overview, introducing you to the material, teaching you a few things about it, when you would use it, that sort of thing. And then I challenge you to, if you want to learn it more in depth, then what you need to do is log on to the resource, get some practice with it, watch some tutorials about it. A lot of libraries have tutorials. Also, you can find tutorials on YouTube, and that's a good way to actually learn the database. So with that said, let's go ahead and come over here. And this is the Missouri Legal Forms database. Now, here's the first thing that I need you all to be aware of. So this is a database that you mostly find used in public libraries, okay? I don't know, I'm sure there are academic libraries that have it, but it's usually your public libraries that will have this. And it is available in all 50 states. So I know that not everybody in the class is in Missouri. I live in Missouri, and I am going through a Missouri-based library. But what I will say is, yeah, this legal forms database, there is an iteration of it in your state as well. I used it when I was in North Carolina. I used it when I was in South Carolina. And no matter which of the 50 states you're in, you have some access to this. So Don't think, oh, this is Missouri legal forms, it doesn't apply to me. Reach out to your local public library and ask them how to access the Gale Legal Forms database for your state if you're not in Missouri, or even if you are in Missouri, you can still ask them that because you may not know. So find out how to do that, and yeah, from there, the times when you most likely use this database would be when you are dealing with a patron who is trying to do things on their own. Usually this is public library patrons who have to do something. They have to get a bill of sale for a car. They have to send a tenant or a landlord some sort of communication. They have to go through a divorce, something like that. And they don't, either they don't want to pay a lawyer to do it at all, or they're trying to do as much as they can without lawyers, because lawyers, as we all know, a lot of times they're charging $300 an hour or more. So we're trying to avoid that, and this is one way you can try to avoid that, especially for simpler things like, for instance, bill of sale on vehicles and things like that, landlord, tenant. Hey, I've got to send an eviction notice. Do I have to have my lawyer draft that up? No, I might be able to just use the Gale Legal Forms database and that sort of thing. So that's generally what you see people come into the library to use this for. And you will even see a lot of the, these are the most popular topics. Now, I will say that one of the topics that was very popular when I was a public librarian for a year and a half that you don't see here in the most popular is the automotive. So if you go over here, you will see automobiles among the main categories. Automobiles was big when I was doing this, but aside from that, yeah, the more popular things you're going to have are going to be divorce, will and estates, real estate, bankruptcy, landlord, tenant, power of attorney, name change, incorporation, paternity, attorneys, corporations, different sample letters. But yeah, again, don't count out that automobiles. And in fact, automobiles is what we are going to go into for our sample browse here. But yeah, so like when you're doing things like selling an automobile or purchasing an automobile or trying to make some sort of, there are different claims that you might need to make related to automobiles and that sort of thing, whatever you need to do. This is, you can oftentimes find, Gale legal forms for your state that are, for lack of a better word, they are relevant and on point with what you are trying to accomplish. So if we were going to automobiles here, let's say that yes, what I wanted to do was sell an automobile, and I needed a bill of sale document here. So once you go into automobiles, these are your subcategories right here. And I thought that was actually going to populate a different way. So anyway, since it didn't, let's just go. But yeah, you've got complaints, promissory notes, releases, repairs, sales, titles, all those sorts of things. We are actually going to go into the bill of sale documents here. And so here's what I want y'all to first of all be aware of is that you will find two different types of forms, either US forms, which means that there's not a state specific form. So they just have something that's more general that can be used and tailored anywhere in the United States, or you will find your state specific form. Again, I'm in Missouri using Missouri legal forms. So I've got MO for Missouri. And so yes, so, and I'm going to show you both things. I'm going to show you one of each. I'm going to show you, I'll actually show you the as is sale, and then I will also show you one of their, cause you'll notice the difference. I'll show you the as is sale, and then I'll show you one of the more general forms that they, made for tailored use throughout the country. So if I wanted to do the Missouri bill of sale of automobile and odometer statement for as is, I could click that, and what I could do, first of all, scroll down, I get a little description here. This form is a bill of sale of an automobile. The seller guarantees that the automobile is their property and is free of all claims and offsets of any kind. The bill of sale also states that the automobile is sold as is without warranties expressed or implied. A separate odometer disclosure statement is included in the bill of sale. If that looks like that's what you want, then you can get a preview here. And so, you know, you can preview this, and this will be something that you can actually alter, fill in the blanks and that sort of thing. And this is very helpful as well. So when it comes to these forms, if you're not sure what the definitions are, then you can click this and get your information on the definitions and that sort of thing. So you've got that there and there. So, and you've even got some clarifying questions and everything. You've got some really deep definitions here for this one, I think in part because it's a state form, and I don't think the federal forms that they use, which aren't real federal forms. Again, these are actual real Missouri state forms, but the forms that are U.S., they're not federally generated. They are things generated in the database, or generated by lawyers who have contributed to the database that can be altered. But you won't find, you wouldn't be able to actually go on a federal website and find those forms for the most part, whereas you could do that with the Missouri forms. But if this looks like it's what you want, then yes, you can download English or Spanish, English and Spanish even. And most of the time they're going to be in the Microsoft Word form. Now you can get them in a rich text format, but we'll go ahead and keep it simple and do the MS Word here. And it downloads there. And Lord, I hope I've got something wordy on this computer. Yeah, it looks like I do. Okay. Yeah, so this isn't my work computer. So yeah, I think that's today. So yeah. Okay. But let me pause and see if I can put that in a viewer or something like that. Okay, so this would look a lot cleaner in Word, of course, but again, I'm not on my work computer because my recording software doesn't work on my work computer, so I'm using my home computer. So with that said, yes, once you download it, then you can fill in the blanks here. So in consideration of whatever dollars, I'll just put $2,000. Make, you can put a Nissan Altima, whatever the case may be. Fill in all of that information. And you just, yeah, again, whenever you see a blank, you just fill it in, State of Missouri, County of Jackson. And then you will have to, generally, you will have to get these types of forms actually signed in front of a notary public. So you would sign there in the presence of the notary, and then the notary would do their thing, okay? But anywhere where you see these blanks and everything, you just fill in the blanks, and that's pretty much how this database works. Now, again, things are going to be a little different when it comes to the U.S. forms. So let's get this U.S. form here, and I'll show you what I mean. So you don't have those in-depth definitions and everything. And when you see the preview, as you can see, this looks a lot more basic because, again, it's not a form produced by the government. It's just something produced by some lawyers who have been contributing to this database. But for instance, if you needed a bill of sale with disclaimer and warranties, there's not a Missouri specific state form for this, but you would be able to, as long as both parties agree, you can sign in front of a notary, and this would still be a legally binding agreement. Okay. So again, if you wanted to download, you could do that. I'm not going to do that for the sake of time, but if I wanted to, I could download here and then start altering text and filling in blanks with my word processing software. All right, so that's pretty much how that works. The last thing I'm going to do before we close out is I am going to just go back home, and then I'm going to show y'all that you can also do searches in here. So let's do a search for, let's just do a search for photography. So photography package, if you didn't really know what you were looking for, or which category you were looking for, you can just do the freeform search. So if I were looking for a photography agreement, I could probably come photographer freelance might be the thing to do here. And here, so I come here, contracts, photography, freelance photographer agreement, self-employed, independent contractor. This is again a U.S. form, not a state-specific form, but if it looks like it's what I want, then I can select that. Again, I can preview, and you've got some legalese there. am going to download this one and then pause so that I can open it back up and show you. So we've got that there. I'm gonna open it up and pause. So now I've got this opened up in Google Docs, but again, you can do this in Word or whatever processing software you have. I've got a bunch of legalese here. Generally, people are just going to fill in the blanks with the names. So this would be like the name of the employer, which would be you if you're not the photographer, and then the photographer. So, you know, John Smith and Jane Doe, you know, whoever. So, and then you can go ahead and if you need to alter any of this text, you can as well, but people tend to leave this alone for the most part. Now, I will say, yeah, confidential information may be disclosed to the extent, like, for instance, if you didn't want that, then you might be able to just kind of take that out, do like that, backspace, and enter there. So that might be the way you go. If you do need to alter some of that text, but then again, from there, this one actually doesn't have the notary thing, but I do think it's a good idea to witness our signatures in this day of time, employer and photographer. If you can get it notarized, I don't think that's a bad idea, but the notary is not required in this case, and it doesn't have the notary language in it. But still, if you both sign and save it, then it should still be a legally binding agreement that you can probably take somebody to small claims court or civil court if you had a breach of agreement or anything like that. So that's pretty much how this works. That's the overview. If you want to really master it, then again, go ahead and find some tutorials and get some practice on it. But yeah, thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. I am going to go ahead and wrap up here, and hopefully I'll have more energy when I do my check-in video next week and that I do it on time. But until then, I am Dr. Jace, and the way you all are performing right now, in my heart is where you have a special place. Let's do it that way. All right. I couldn't come up with anything better, but now I got my rhyme in place, and I am going to go do something else. You all take care, and I will see you next week, and I will also see you on the discussion boards. Till then, talk.